So I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but I want to dive into what Pierre Poilievre recently announced on capital gains. What do you think? Let's dive into this topic about what Pierre Poilievre said on capital gains tax. So here's the rundown. Pierre Poilievre recently announced Canada's first reinvestment tax cut. It's a proposal to eliminate capital gains for investments that are going to be put back into our Canadian economy. So what does this mean for homeowners and investors? I've seen some comments over the weekend where people were saying this is just for the rich. This is for average people that own homes. This is for everybody and will benefit a lot of people. And again, that will stimulate our economy. But not only that, capital gains is a pretty big hit. People might have owned a vacation home for a long time. And if it's not your primary residence, or it's a business or anything of that sort, you would be subject to paying capital gains tax. And capital gains tax is taxed on 50% of your gain. So for example, if you've owned a property for a really long time and it's increased in gain because you've done improvements on the property or whatever it might be, you'll be paying substantial amount of income tax. So basically 50% is taxed at your marginal tax rate. So talk to your accountant for more information on this. So back to the proposal. What does it all mean? So basically you don't pay capital gains tax. It's deferred if you reinvest your money back into Canadian businesses. For example, if you have a rental property or a business asset and instead of pocketing the profit, which you would be paying taxes on, but you reinvest it back into Canadian venture, like a family-run farm, a tech startup, or expanding your business, then you just wouldn't pay capital gains at the time of that sale. Instead, of course, the tax is deferred. So it's not completely gone, but it is deferred. So if you do want to cash out, pocket the money, maybe it's time for retirement, then of course you would be subject to paying capital gains. It's not tax-free forever. So let's unwrap the pros and cons. The pros: encourages investment in Canada, our home. This could be a boost for our local economy and small businesses. Support local entrepreneurs. Investors might be more willing to fund local businesses, farms, manufacturing, knowing the fact that they would get a tax relief. It also incentivizes long-term growth. Policy rewards those who focus long-term, Canadian-based ventures, and it gives you more control over your own money. Instead of immediately paying taxes, you can choose when to be taxed, based on when you withdraw or sell your reinvested asset. So what about the cons? Let's talk about some negatives. Short time frame. With a policy limited to just 18 months, it may not be enough for investors and businesses to plan and act strategically. We might need more time. And lack of detail. At this point, we don't have too many details on what we can and cannot do, what type of businesses, is there any restrictions, and so forth. And some people do feel that it might favor more of the wealthier Canadians that have already some capital gains to defer, and the risk of misuse. So if not carefully regulated, people might reinvest in shell companies or low-risk passive assets to dodge taxes rather than contribute to our economy. Well, there's a lot to think about here. I know that I personally think it's an awesome idea. I would love my sellers and business owners to save on capital gains and be able to reinvest into our economy if this makes sense. And I would love to hear your thoughts, so tell me what you think.